Nick Wright, brought to you by Mercedes. The best or nothing is joining us. Okay, so the story is today, OBJ, Minnesota. One of the things, I know you're close with OBJ, and though I've been critical of him, I do believe when he was surrounded by professionals at LSU and the New York Giants early in his career, he was a great pro. I don't think his personality is great with chaos. When the Giants got chaotic, he struggled. Cleveland defines chaos. I think Minnesota is sound, well-structured. I think it is great for him. Your takeaway on the news that's coming out, that's not a done deal, but it's getting talked about.
Yeah, it would be a very savvy move for the Vikings in this regard. If you can get a first-round pick for Stephon Diggs and then obtain Odell Beckham Jr. for a second-round pick, you won both of those trades. So from as a pure value proposition, it makes sense. I don't know if I look at the Vikings and say their biggest need is wide receiver even after losing Stephon Diggs. I would have thought they maybe would have tried to upgrade their line a little bit or maybe deal with some of the departures from the defense. But you know where I stand on Odell. I think he's the most physically talented receiver in football. I think he's incredibly unfairly discussed in the media. I mean, I understand why folks want to come after him because he has, a PED suspension and he got arrested this summer. I'm sorry, that was Julian Edelman, not Odell Beckham Jr. And so I get them confused because they actually both were photographed sleep in a bed with a strange woman, but we only talking about one. And so I think it'd be great for the Vikings. I'd be bummed out if I'm Baker, but maybe the Browns feel like they have enough weapons and they would need more. They need more other assets on that team.
Oh, I think it's great for OBJ. And a lot of people think I don't like OBJ. I think he can be, all these pro athletes are 24, 25, 26 years old. So at 25, 26 years old, I'm not the same guy today. So I think OBJ in the right fit is wonderful. And I tend to root for players that make my show more interesting. I want Baker in the league. I want OBJ in the league. I just don't think they work together. Now, I just defended. People will see it as defending Dak Prescott. You probably didn't hear it. But I said there's a reason that when you own a restaurant, you give your top manager a piece of the business because you get a different employee. So I think Dak is doing what people do when they don't get their way. 2 division titles, 40-24, only guy on that team without a contract. And I think he's saying to himself, you're paying people years early. I don't have one. I'm not going to OTAs. And I think if he had $200 million in his pocket, he would see himself as a different employee. And I'm not defending him, but I'm trying to explain. He's pushing back. He feels he has delivered. Nick, if you were giving ratings for 4 years to a radio station and they wouldn't give you a contract but gave lesser important people on the radio station contracts, would you feel the same driving to work? You would not. And so your takeaway on my theory on this.
Well, I think a lot of it's right, and I don't think that. Listen, first of all, players who are under contract don't have to go to OTAs. The players negotiated for these to be optional or voluntary, and then they get publicly pressured by the media and the teams to go. But that's guys who are under contract. Dak Prescott isn't even currently an employee of the Dallas Cowboys. They've offered him a contract. He has not signed the franchise tag. So it's his prerogative to do whatever he wants to do. But if I were advising him, I would say, listen, man, they've offered you a piece of the restaurant. Maybe not the piece you quite want. Maybe not the piece that the kid in Kansas City is going to get at his restaurant. But it's a pretty damn big piece, man. And you really got to consider taking it. Now, I'm more bird in the hand type of guy. Everywhere I've been where it's been offered, I sign contract extensions early. I'm like, nope. I like what I'm doing. I want to stay. I understand folks that say I want to roll the dice and see how it goes, but I feel like Dak Prescott rolled the dice. He didn't crap out, and he didn't, roll sevens, and he's still trying to negotiate as if he did. And so I feel like they're playing a dangerous game here on both sides. And Colin, I think at this point the Cowboys have to start at least internally discussing, would Miami give us the 5th pick for him? Like, is that available? Because if you haven't gotten a deal done in the last 14 months, why are you going to get it done in the next 90 days? Because July 15th is the deadline to sign him to an extension, or else you're not allowed to. So I don't begrudge Dak. I think he's overvaluing himself slightly, but I don't know what changes here. One last quick point on this. In Dak's defense, he has looked around, and I think this is your point. The Cowboys have made their tackle, their guard, their center, their running back, and their wide receiver all got the biggest contracts in the history of their position at signing. And so Dak, I would assume, is like, that's just what we do around here, right? Like, everyone gets the biggest deal, so he feels it's his turn.
This story came out. Now, I know again, you're friends with OBJ, you're friends with Aaron Rodgers. I am not, of course. Everyone hates me. But so this story comes out. I'm going to defend Aaron Rodgers. Everybody's got a chip on their shoulder, right? He has a right to have a chip. He had to go to junior college. He dropped in the draft. He then went and sat for 3 years. Green Bay's never gotten him really consistently great defenses like Russell Wilson and Tom Brady. So there's a story out, the Packers may draft a quarterback with their first pick. And I think to myself, this is stupid. Aaron has earned the chip on his shoulder. Let's be honest. They overlooked him in college, they overlooked him in the draft, and he has not had the defenses of Russell or Tom. This is not a guy you need to poke in the ribs. He's still great for another 3 years minimum. Get him help. Do him a solid. Don't try to win the moment. This will not land well for Aaron, nor, by the way, did Brady like Jimmy Garoppolo hovering over him. I think it's a mistake if they draft a quarterback, even though, they may love one of these guys, but I'm going to defend Aaron on this. It would be stupid, and the team needs help, not a backup. Your thoughts?
Hey, you're 1,000% right. And I think it's just because I want to be fair, it is fair to qualify me as a friend with Odell. I can't call Aaron a friend. I'd say I'm friendly, and I've talked with him a couple times.
Yeah.
He certainly likes me more than he likes you, but that is the case with most human beings. But no, that's absolutely right. Listen, here are the numbers that should matter to the Green Bay Packers. I'm going to give them a few of them. 74. That's the number of points you allowed to the Niners the 2 times you played them. 13. That's the number of times Aaron Rodgers was sacked or fumbled the football in the 2 times you played the Niners. 14-2. That was your record against everyone in football last year other than the Niners. 0-2, your record against the Niners. I say all that to say this. Every single move you make this offseason should be about how can we beat San Francisco? How can we make sure if we play them in the playoffs again, that game is in our building instead of theirs? How do we maximize the last part of the window of Aaron Rodgers' championship ability? Because they absolutely lucked out going from Favre to Rodgers via the 24th pick in the draft. You are not going to do that again. And so the idea that you would draft a player with a premium pick who you hope plays 0 snaps this year is insanity. The whole point of sports is to win a championship. It's not to never be awful. Like, too many teams, it's like, well, we want to make sure we're never terrible. It is better to have 1 ring and then a few seasons in the wilderness than a bunch of 9 and 10 win seasons with first and second round playoff exits. Like, what do you think Jason Garrett and the Cowboys with Jerry Jones would have rathered? If in his tenure, instead of having all those 8 and 8, 9 and 7 years, they could have won 1 Super Bowl and then bottomed out, or what they got. Like, the Packers, it would be, if I were Aaron, I would be livid if they drafted a quarterback with a first, second, or third round pick. I want someone to help me beat the San Francisco 49ers.
Very well stated. 2 minutes left. Joe Burrow got compared to LeBron James, and my head exploded yesterday. What did you make of that?
Listen, the number 1 pick in the NFL is not the number 1 pick in the NBA. Over the last 20 years, the median, the average number 1 overall pick in the NBA is Blake Griffin. That's a first ballot Hall of Famer guy that has been a top 5 MVP candidate in his career. The median number 1 overall pick for the NFL draft is Alex Smith, a guy who played his best football on his second team. You have a half dozen to a full dozen, depending on how careers play out, Hall of Famers that went number 1 overall in the NBA over the last 20 years. In the last 25 years, if you draft a quarterback number 1 overall and his name's not Peyton or Eli Manning, he's not a Manning, you're not winning a Super Bowl with him. The idea that we're going to put these types of expectations on Burrow, it's unfair. I don't even need to get into the fact that you're comparing him to the greatest American athlete ever. It's unfair for the sport. And so it's just not how it works in the NFL. And I'm pretty sure, we're going to have to go back and fact check this, I'm pretty sure LeBron was the best player in his draft class. I'm not even sure Burrow's the best player in his position in his draft class. I like the kid a lot, but come on. And by the way, one last thing, Colin. The day the Cavs won the draft lottery, an 18-year-old LeBron James said to a local television station, I'm so excited to stay in Ohio. I can't wait to start winning and start a new winning tradition. Joe Burrow's been asked a million different times about what his plans are for his first year in the NFL. He said a million different words, and I'm not mad at him for this. But one word he's never said is Cincinnati or Bengals, because he desperately wants someone to trade up so he doesn't end up going there. So it's a very different situation.
This is a very good performance by you today. His name is Nick Wright. First things first. Good talking to you, buddy.
You as well, Colin. I owe you a phone call. I'll talk to you soon. Good to talk to you as well, Joe. See you guys.
All right, good stuff.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.